I recently did a video on grandma's frugal tips and habits, or depression era tips and habits, and you guys loved it. It has gotten an amazing response. The best part about it are the comments that you guys left about frugal things that your parents or grandparents did as well. So I've got a whole list of some fun ones to talk about today. But before we get started, my name is Jennifer. If you are new here, I make videos all about saving money through being frugal and implementing minimalism. I am also documenting our journey to paying off our mortgage by the year of 2024 and just ultimately being financially independent. So if any of that interests you, make sure you hit that subscribe button. You guys crack me up. Number one, I want to thank you for your support on this channel. I enjoy listening or reading all of your comments. I enjoy the interaction with you. You are just so nice, and you come from all over the world, and it's so interesting to me to learn about what other people have done, or other people's parents, or just your stories. I love that. If I could sit down and have coffee, which I don't drink coffee, or tea or something with you, I would enjoy that so much. If we keep talking about this, then maybe we can pass on our parents and our grandparents' legacies. So I have a list of, what I did is just pull the comments from you guys, and I have to share some of these, so I'm gonna read them off. Some of them are funny, some of them are interesting, but they're also frugal tips that you can also think about and possibly implement if you need to, or if you just wanna simplify life, because we all know that life was people are so different than they were back then in the 30s, 40s, 50s, and before. People are just so different. The world is so different. More so in the last, I'm 37, more so in the last few years, the world is so different. So the first one came from Evelyn. First of all, I love the name Evelyn. It's just so pretty. My son was 10 when he found out that you can buy shorts. They don't have to come from old long pants cut off and hemmed. I think it's hilarious that her son did not know that you could actually buy shorts until he was 10. Kathleen says, love all your depression era tips, Jennifer, and I plan to look into your paying off your mortgage posts as well. Check them out. I've got some more. I just did the update from February, so I'll link that right up here. That way you can know where we are on our mortgage payoff. She says, my son lived in Spain for a year teaching English. How fun would that be? And he discovered that many people don't have dryers, and everyone hangs their clothes either outside or in the house. I thought that was a strange thing, but apparently it is uncommon to have dryers. And somebody else left another comment. I didn't put it in here, but they said, we live in Florida and it's illegal to use dryers. I loved this one from Karen Green. My grandparents on my mom's side were born in 1911 and 1917. My grandfather had to quit school in 3rd grade. Yes, 3rd, to help support his family. I resonate with that because my dad had to quit in the 9th grade to help support his family. And so I really resonated with her comments here. When he married my grandmother, he was a foreman on a farm. They made very little. They had a farm, raised crops, chickens, hogs, cows, and they canned their own food, butchered their own meat. I recently found my grandmother's budget. She just wrote out where everything went per paycheck on a piece of paper. She did it to the penny, literally. They also bartered for what they didn't have. My grandfather had this contraption to make their own syrup or molasses, and then they would do that and then take the excess to barter with. My grandmother washed clothes once a week. It was a big day. Monday she would boil the water, wash the clothes, wring them out. Eventually she would have the hand crank wringer and then hang them to dry. She'd bring them in and iron them on Tuesday. She made 3 meals a day. Lunch she would have to make enough to feed the farm hands too. They were very frugal with what they had, but they always shared with others. There is so much we can all learn from them. I wish they were here to ask them all the questions. That literally brings tears to my eyes, because I wasn't in the state of mind I am now to have enjoyed my grandparents' thoughts and conversations. No, I never met my grandfather on my dad's side. He died 9 years before I was born. But I knew my grandparents on my mom's side and my grandmother on my dad's side. But I was, you know, young and dumb and didn't appreciate it. And I just wish that I could have asked more questions, learned more. I mean, even with my dad, who passed away 3 years ago, up until, honestly, when I hit 35, it's like things changed. I don't know what it is. Things in my head changed. I wish I could ask so much more about then, about what they did, about the history of everything, but I just wasn't interested. Heather made me laugh. On my first date with my husband, next to his car in the restaurant parking lot, there were a bunch of coins on the ground. I started to pick them all up. He says that's when he knew that I was the one. Catherine made me laugh too. The apron is a must at my house. Never fails that something will escape and try to get onto my clothes. By the way, if you get something on spattered clothing, try using Blue Dawn dish liquid. It does miracles on grease stains, and I did not know that. So, and a lot of people actually wrote that as well. Prayer Squad says, my dad screwed the lids of the glass jars onto the top of the wooden shelf. He would screw it in and it would hold for a long time. Daddy loved it when there were babies in the family because of the little Gerber jars. He also used tin coffee cans. His workshop was immaculate. He and my mother grew up in the Great Depression. Can you just see how she was thinking back to those memories, and just the frugal memories from your parents and your grandparents is just so interesting. So I don't know what our children or the generation we're raising is going to remember about us. Rebecca reminded me of something that when I did my list of grandma's frugal habits, which if you haven't seen, again, check it out up here, and more of this will make sense, more of the stuff we're talking about. She reminded me of something. Rebecca said, what about all the reused butter bowls and Cool Whip bowls, like the country crock bowls? Okay, tell me you guys remember this. My grandma had trash bags full of clean bowls waiting to be used when she passed away. You would go in the fridge and there would be 15 Cool Whip bowls, and you'd have to open the lid to see what was in each one. Yes! Okay, Wandering Twin brought up something that several of you also had heard of, but I had never heard of before. S&H green stamps, remember them? We also outgrew our pants. I guess they were like some sort of coupon, and I say coupon, I don't say coupon, I say coupon, that's how I say it. We also grew out our pants, we outgrew our pants before we got another pair. Kids laughed at us for wearing high waters, which are cool today. Yeah, they're called capris. If our clothes got torn, we sewed them up. Today, they wear them torn up. A pot of beans and some cornbread usually lasted 2 to 3 days. Yep. My dad also made this meal for me that they used to make, and it was delicious. It's super simple. When I could probably try it with oat milk, but taking milk and adding a little bit of butter and just slightly heating it up, taking it off the stove just before it boils, adding a lot of salt and pepper, and putting saltine crackers in it. He called it milk soup. That's delicious. Wandering Twin continues saying, I was an adult when I first ate at McDonald's. Wish I could go back and not do that. LOL. I'm almost 60 and this world is so different than the one I grew up in. Julia Marie Rowley made me laugh again. Her dad was funny. I was raised in exactly this way. My sister and I still laugh about it and have so many great memories, especially our dad's theory on toilet paper. Are you ready for this one? Because it's good. It's called number 1 and number 2 for a reason. 1 sheet for number 1 and 2 sheets for number 2. That's it. Dad got tired of fixing the toilet and he would never call a plumber. Cindy writes, memories. My grandfather was an orphan during the Depression. Can you imagine? When he passed away, we found drawers full of used pieces of tinfoil. You know, tinfoil. Bread bags, twisties, rubber bands, etc. And a tin of jam in the back of his cupboard with a 15-cent price tag on it. So who knows how long it was in there. When I was a kid, I would eat whatever was put in front of us. If it was liver and onions, sorry Cindy, couldn't do it. which I hated, and I didn't eat it by bedtime, I would have to eat it for breakfast. Oof. And no snack convenience or fast food back in those days. Stephanie Porter writes, this video was so fun. I was taught all of these tips growing up and still use them to this day. Also, you wore hand-me-downs, clothes and shoes from your older siblings or neighbors. In addition to turning off the lights, we were constantly told to shut the doors because we're not heating and cooling the neighborhood. And a lot of you said that your parents also said, shut the door, you don't live in a barn. Does anybody remember the movie Sweet Home Alabama with Reese Witherspoon? I cannot ever forget this line from her dad when she comes in. He wants her to shut the door, and he says, don't let all the bald air out. Isn't that the truth? I mean, you're back. The air conditioning and the heat, you're paying for that air, right? Donna Wilkerson says, my dad was from the Depression era. He taught me to save cereal bags and boxes. Cereal bags are very heavy plastic and work well as freezer bags. The boxes can be used for all sorts of things, such as dividers for drawers is my favorite. We also saved wrapping paper from gifts and used it as liner for dresser drawers. Lisa wrote, I also had Depression era parents. My father was so frugal we nicknamed him Pinch. I do a lot of these, including hanging clothes out on the porch in the storage closet that I had a rod put in for that purpose. On humid days, I use a portable dehumidifier and hang wet clothes in my bathroom. I run the dehumidifier for about an hour and a half, then shut it off and leave the clothes in there for another couple of hours. They actually get crispy dry. Michelle Todd wrote, I have lived by every single one of these 20 plus things you just described. It actually brings back some pretty incredible memories. Along with the newspaper, we used to collect them. Along with the newspapers, we used to collect them for drives to donate them. We would store them until we got a large amount, stacks and stacks, that took up a large portion of the garage, and then turn them in for money. I guess it was the equivalent of today's recycling, but individuals could get some real cash. I just love these points and still loved by the majority of them today in my 60s. That is cool to think about, that you used to get paid to recycle. We don't get paid to recycle. Now we have to pay to get the recycle picked up, right? Jimmy says, I identified with every single one of your frugal living habits. It made me remember both my grandmother and my mother-in-law always turning the plastic bread bags inside out and washing them in the washing machine. I'm not sure how that works. Somebody explain that. And then hung them on the line to dry. It was a badge of honor to have used bread bags where all the writing had been washed so much it was gone. Jimmy also writes, when our first child was born, I used to take my husband's worn out underwear, cut off the elastics, and use that to repair our son's pajamas. I even used it to repair my bras. Right now my mattress cover has a big quilted patch on it because I cannot bear to buy a new cover. Heck, I may even patch the patch if I want to. I used to tell my children, pennies make nickels, make dimes, make quarters, make dollars. I never fail to pick up a coin if I find one. I also called it tinfoil. That is one word to me. Not two. My mom used lipstick as rouge. It worked for her. I would go on and on, but that's not enough. That's enough for now. Thank you for the warm memories in your post. Thank you guys for all of your amazing memories. Those were just a few that I pulled, and maybe we can learn from some of those frugal tips and habits. I think we can all learn from each other. And if you have any more amazing stories like that, share them with me and everybody else down below. Don't forget to like this video, and if you haven't yet, make sure you subscribe to my channel. I would love to have you back for more videos.